Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting. Today is November 30th, Thursday. Time is 6:30 approximately p.m. And we are in the multi-service room, room 320. And there's no Zoom link to these meetings. We're meeting live on OK, and I call the meeting to order, and I have a roll call, please.
Jim Gibberti, present.
Peter Dunlop, present.
Bob Scanlon, present.
Bernie Pigeon, present.
Sandy Slavin.
500, we are all here. There's no public comments in the audience in the meeting minutes. I believe we have one set of minutes for November 9th. Madam Secretary, do you find that satisfactory for accepting?
No. I indicated four things that needed to be changed this morning. They've not been changed, so I make a motion that we do not accept the November 9th minutes as presented because they have not been corrected.
Second that.
Motion's made and seconded to put a hold on November 9th meeting minutes.
And we have minutes from October 12th, 2023, but we can't seem to get it on the agenda. My recommendation, it be listed under Sewer Commissioner's Business, which is under the control of Bernie's agenda as opposed to others. If we put it as a Sewer Commissioner Business, the 10/12/23 minutes, we can finally get them formally accepted. And I went onto the website this morning.
Excuse me, I have a motion on the floor to accept your motion for November 9th to postpone. It's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Go on, Sandy.
I went online this morning to the town website and looked at the minutes. There were 4 sets of minutes that we have approved that are not appearing on the town website. I requested that they be printed and brought tonight so I can make sure they're signed, and I would take them to the clerk's office to posting. They're not in the blue folder, so we have 4 sets of minutes approved but not posted on the town's website.
Which 4 of those, please?
The 8:10 workshop, the 9:14, the 9:21, and the 10:26. And there's just one more thing. On September 14th, we approved the first half sewer agreement for the wrong amount. We need to have the correct amount identified as a business and voted on so it can be in the minutes that we are approving the right amount as opposed to just $400 some odd as opposed to 100 some odd, 100,000.
That was on 9/14?
9:14 was a set of minutes. I did listen to the minutes themselves, and it was confirmed for the 400 some odd dollars.
Okay, as far as the changes and like that you had submitted this morning, our secretary was not in the office this morning, so there's no changes could have been made for the record. That's just an explanation of why they were absent. Okay, moving on. The Sewer Commissioner's business, discussion and vote of the multi-state electrical renewal in the amount of $120 per hour.
I make a motion, we
I'm
accept
sorry,
it.
do we have any paperwork on it?
It's in your folder.
Not in my folder.
Contract between the town of Wareham and Multi-State
Oh,
Electric.
there it is. Can't we get the folders ahead of time? As
Sure,
opposed
Go
to,
to the office.
you did.
Go to the
Yeah.
office. Went to the office. and
5
got 'em.
minutes before the meeting.
Go into the office and get them.
You gotta take up speed readings.
I'll second that motion.
Motion is made and seconded for the multi-state electric renewal at $120 per hour.
Aye.
Motion is made. Did I have a second?
I already seconded it.
Seconded.
I had a second. Any further discussion? This is, company is providing the electrical necessary for the Greasella to be installed.
This is the company that is our electrician. That we're under contract for a year.
Beg your pardon?
This is a year's contract.
I don't have the detail of that contract.
It doesn't say anything about...
Contract is for a period of 1 year as agreed with option to renew 1-year terms. at the total discretion. Contract sum is $120 per hour. That's basically it.
So it's a time and material contract. It's a renewal.
It's a renewal,
Okay.
But why was Grisilla mentioned?
because that's what he's working on right now.
So we've
He's
given
just-
him,
That has nothing to do with anything, that has nothing to do with this contract, accepted or not accepted. That's just part of the job that he's got going on right now.
so this has been an ongoing support of Grisilla, not the
No,
new project?
No,
No.
nothing to do with Greasella.
No.
That's
Then why, I'm sorry, then why did you mention it? It
what he's
bothered-
doing now. He does other things in the process. I'm
He
just
wasn't-
giving an FYI
We
that
could have said he was replacing a light switch. Same difference.
we're changing the bulbs or whatever.
He's
Is
doing
there
a
a
job.
maximum that we can pay,
Yeah, maximum of $120 an hour,
but no cap?
because it's an as-needed basis.
Any further discussion?
Ellen was right.
There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next item on the agenda, the discussion of the Mass General Laws, Section 83. We went through the workshop with our town council, and although we didn't cover Section 83, Section 83 is almost a mirror of what we have. It's Mass General Laws. And we adopted that, and we accepted the bylaws that we have in our charter. Our bylaws, excuse me.
So we don't have a copy of what this Section 83 reads?
You got one the last meeting.
I got our
No,
bylaws.
we got our bylaws.
We got our bylaws.
83 is on the state website.
So you couldn't download them yourself?
I didn't know. Where was 80? I don't remember 83 being on the agenda or discussion of 83.
Yeah, I looked at it
Yes.
as being all-inclusive.
It was.
since- Any comments
Can you,
concerning?
can someone summarize what Section 83 is about?
Some Mass General laws as it pertains to sewer commissioners and their duties. A lot of it's covered in our own bylaws as it relates to sewer commissioners as
Then,
well.
Bob, are you comfortable we are adhering to Section 83?
Am I comfortable? I haven't had a chance to go through all of Section 83, nor am I a lawyer, but it's quite lengthy, and I'm comfortable with what we have in the town bylaws.
Okay, so Mass General Laws, Section 83 is the same as our bylaws, or not quite?
It's not quite the same.
Our bylaws don't violate anything in it.
Okay, thank you.
These are the Mass General Laws. Want it?
Well, I'm not going to have a chance to read it now,
I know,
No,
but-
but I will.
okay. Okay, the next is just a discussion of our own bylaws. Any suggestions regarding
Well,
discussion of modifications or additions to our own bylaws?
these are some of the things that we discussed at the last meeting with Attorney Bowen. And some of the things in our bylaws, I think I have to retract that statement, Sandy, when I said we don't violate anything in 83.
Yeah,
in
there's
80.
some pretty nasty things in our
And
bylaws.
the, the item that comes to mind first is that lock that we can put on the sewer at the home.
Or
We-
getting in-
We don't have that. We can't do that yet it is in our bylaws.
And that we could get into the home.
True.
Well,
There's that.
but
that
the
we could-
fact that we can block their access to sewer, that would be a violation of 83.
Would you have a specific one in mind that you're referring to?
Excuse me?
Do you have a specific one in mind
Where
that
it's,
you're referring to?
Yes, it's, if you have a copy of our bylaws, it's...
I do.
Section 5, Article 1. And here it is, Bernie. It's one of the questions that I asked Rich about. It's this one here.
Okay.
Do you want it?
No, I have it here.
Okay.
I have the same copy you have, just,
But it deals with locking off. Oh, excuse me, that's not the one that deals with the locking off.
which particular article, Peter?
It's further down. It's under Section 5, Article 2, and it's Section 2, and it's number 11.
Okay. Town reserves the right to full control of flow from any unpronounceable installed into the public system. A shut-off device approved by the commissioners or their agent shall be installed at the entry point of the public system. You think that's too violent?
Excuse me?
You think that is too violent?
It's not allowed.
it's not allowed, you can't block it off.
We can't, we're not allowed to block off a sewer line
Right.
Yeah.
under 83.
So there are some changes that we really should do in our bylaw.
There are.
Yes.
And there's also, I don't have it in front of me, but in terms of enforcement, it mentions you can send town police out, and you can't.
And
The-
getting
The
access-
police will
yeah.
not get involved
And
with
getting
that.
access
No,
to
it
individual
should
homes.
You have to
It's-
have an appointed individual with powers.
If I may make a suggestion, I just spoke with Bob, and I'd like to speak to Rich. There's a couple of things in the bylaws that I'd like to see changed, and I'm not prepared to really give you an outline of them. If we could postpone this discussion, let me talk to Rich, and then I'll rough something out, bring it to the board, and we'll take it from there. If
Fine.
that's acceptable.
If you like that motion, I'll take a
Then-
motion to table.
No,
I'll second
I
it.
would like,
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve members of the sewer commissioners to have access to Mr. Bowen to have this discussion.
Excellent.
Second.
I believe we have to
That's
get a
appropriate.
permission before we can
you're
go
right.
to the chair of the selectmen.
Second.
Okay,
May I have a second? Sandy's motion?
Already
That was
seconded.
Jim.
I did, okay. Any further discussion on that regard? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is a vote. I'll put appointment on. I wait for you, Peter, till you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
How do you want to handle the contact? That's all. There's a formal way and there's an informal. If
Let me
you-
handle it informally and then bring it back to the board.
All right.
And then if we need to, and we'll kick it around before we vote on it, and if we need to have Mr. Bowen come in, we can set that up.
Okay. I say, when I mention
Because
formal,
there's a couple of points in there that I'd like to, I'm not prepared, it would get too lengthy if we started discussing it now. I'd far prefer to be on legal ground when we discuss it, so that, I mean, whatever we kick around is all hearsay. To have the legal yes and no, what we can and what we can't do. It'll just shorten the whole process, I believe.
okay, that's fine with me.
agree.
Just I was, in the formal process, I'd have to note on the selectman's office to make an appointment for the Thursday afternoon, but if you can do it informally.
And if I could
Larry,
go one step further
certainly.
and take item C and include that in the discussion. Item C of our agenda,
Yeah, 5C, yeah, discussion of town bylaws.
because that's one of the other items that I'd like to discuss with Mr. Bowen before we bring it to the board.
I mean, item C under the Commissioner business? You say it's item C.
Yeah.
You referring to something in the bylaws themselves or our agenda?
No, on our agenda.
Okay,
On our agenda, you say discussing the town bylaws as of section 5.
yeah.
And modifications or additions, and that falls right in the same category.
Motion to table that?
I thought we had a motion and a
We-
second.
No, the
We
motion
have-
to,
Table.
yes, but then you came up with the need to approve the actual talking to the
I
attorney.
should have waited until the vote was taken on the first motion.
I should have waited. Because I asked for your motion, you did it. Okay, motion to table.
So
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Peter, when you're ready, just let me know, and we'll put it back.
Thank
on
you.
As I was going through one of the reports on the I&I for our system, it had the suggestion of an inflow in I&I fees. Have you ever heard of that, Scott? Fees charged, and the explanation in it was a paragraph. And so I'm at a loss to know what they're trying to say.
I believe that goes back to the bylaws, where you have it in your ability to identify illegal connections with sump pumps and provide a fee to them in a daily fine. There was a whole discussion about that at that
Right.
meeting. But again, if you're
It-
gonna have a discussion about that, that's where that would come from.
So one was fines and one was
It's been
fees.
brought up before that if we allowed somebody to tie their roof drain in, we could charge them. But it all falls short because EPA will not allow it.
Right.
And so in a way, there's no way we can allow I&I. EPA won't allow us to.
Beyond that, though, your bylaws allow you, if you can identify and prove that someone is using a sump pump, that you could then impose penalties.
There's a
per your
fine, there's a
bylaw.
fine,
Step processes.
But this is what we discussed with,
And that's where it came down to who could go into a house and the
Exactly.
duly appointed person, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
So, anyway, that would be where that would come from, where a fee, it would be more of a fine than a fee. A fee would be something in trade, you allow me to do this and I pay you.
Correct, and that's why,
And what Peter's saying is, they're illegal, we can't allow them to do it, but we do have the ability to, if we can identify that they are doing it,
we can find them,
but if you think
Yes.
back to the discussion with Mr. Bowen, he felt we were on more solid ground by going back to the first section of that, where the penalty is a lot larger than the fee or the fine we could impose. Do you recall the discussion?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a $5,000
Yes.
penalty.
And this section of the bylaws is more enforceable than charging for a violation of a sump pumps.
Right.
Which brought us down to the $200 and $300 range, where this one was up in the,
5,000, I think.
yeah, because you made reference to on the last page of our bylaws, it has some fines.
right. And this is a lot steeper.
Yes.
And that's what he recommended we go to. But remember, he also said we have to have proof of that the sump pump's there, and to get all of that, it's all the court. And in order to get the warrant to go into the house to prove that the sump pump is there, we have to have, what was the word he used? Probable cause.
Right.
Now, probable cause could be if Scott could identify it with a camera. If we went one step further and had a notion that we had a violation and camered it, Is it possible for us to go to the water department, shut the water off to the resident, and if we still see outfall, that is probable cause?
I don't believe, irrespective of the fact the water department is a separate entity, that you would be able to shut the water off without prior knowledge.
There's a few things that you'd have to do to cover
Yeah.
yourself on this. First of all, you'd have to notify the fire department, especially if there was a possibility that the building was sprinkled, that it could get involved.
Very much so.
But the probable cause is the thing that you got to get around.
And you would have to have a lot of other information, reliable information, prior to justify the probable cause. It's very complicated, as you point out, yes. It's almost like we're between a rock and a hard place. We know it's happening, but we can't prove it's happening.
And it's
Within,
not unique
acceptable
unto
by a
us.
court.
No, it is not.
Right, but I think parking our camera underneath it and watching it flow for.
Make sure you're speaking into your mic or the green light's on.
The problem, this is a problem that's not unique unto us. Everybody's got it throughout the state,
Right.
of varying degrees. And seeing as everybody has it, it's obviously not something that we're gonna solve sitting here at this point. You know, we haven't been able to really wrap our heads around it for the last few years. It's out there. This camera routine has been thrown out 100 times. Probable cause is obviously something that becomes the legal aspects of things, which I'm not qualified to say what's probable cause and what isn't. So, I mean, to me, we're chasing our tail right at the moment. I mean, this isn't that big an issue versus whatever every other thing we've got going. So,
Maybe it's something that you could discuss with the water department when you're there.
It's an issue for them. It's a, no, couldn't be on an informal basis. It'd have to be something official, but we have to ask for their generosity to supply us with certain usage information. But it's getting, as I think of it, it's getting deeper and deeper, murkier and murkier as to how and what we can do.
I think that,
Jimmy says we're between a rock and a hard place. We keep talking about it, but we don't have a solution.
We've been talking about it since as long as I've been on the board. It's a burr under the saddle, and we know it's there, but we don't know how to go about eliminating it.
The report I read, though, speculates that more of our I&I is from leakage than from sump pumps.
Well, that may be true now, but we received one point from one engineering outfit that said 40% of it was sump pumps.
yeah, but that was your friend Ty and Bond. That was your friend Ty and Bond.
Now, the report I got is beta,
Beta.
Either way,
Yep, yep.
it's not good.
very lengthy report, too. Okay, instead of spending more time talking about it and rehashing from the last 6 years,
Well, we can't charge a fee. We're not allowed to let it happen, period. So we can't charge for it.
Right.
as I said, I didn't know what they were talking about. As I've explained, and Scott has explained, it's more of a fine that they're referring to than a fee. And I can see the practicality of that in terms of interpretation. Also, the next one, the discussion of a possible an appointment of an inspector. The Article 14 of our charter allows for a zoning enforcement officer in which the building commissioner, in this case, is appointed as such. We've talked about in our bylaws and in Article 83 of having someone who can go in and enforce some issues. That would require someone being appointed to having certain powers to enable them to do so or do the things that are outlined in our bylaws and MGL 83. I don't see the benefit in doing so. I brought it up only because there are other departments that do have one. In this case, the zoning enforcement officer is the building commissioner.
Well, separate enforcement officer from inspector now. You know,
Right, well, like the building commissioner, in this case, Article 14, Section 1410.1, he's, the commissioner is, shall be the zoning enforcement officer. It's something I'm just throwing out there for the purposes of discussion and awareness. We look through the bylaws and we ask, how do we enforce these? Because we don't have the powers to do many of the things they suggest needs to be done to enforce certain aspects of the process. So in zoning, they have an enforcement officer. Possibility we could have an enforcement officer. I'm not sure whether it would benefit us at all, but as I say, it's one of those things I'm throwing out for discussion, and I won't bring it up again if you don't want to talk about it.
There is, a while ago, we have this issue with fog. We didn't have the staff to go out and do the inspection of grease traps in the various restaurants. I thought we were going to have the Board of Health do it for us. Did anything ever happen with that? So part of it, to me, of having an inspection is someone to go out and look to make sure that the grease traps are properly cleaned.
The only way that's gonna happen is we're gonna have, it's gonna come under Scott at some point in time. That's gonna have to be handled. The Board of Health isn't gonna do it. They don't have enough time to get around to do the inspections they're supposed to do now, exclusive of this type of thing.
But didn't Guy said there was an agreement with them, but I don't know where it ever went. But to me, if we're looking for an
He said
inspector,
a lot of things.
with looking for an inspector, it's more than just checking
talking about
for,
just true things now.
Yeah, we said a lot of things.
yeah. But
So I would hang my hat on what was said.
I just want to keep someone reminding that we really need somebody out there to make sure they're
He
doing it.
needs
Yep.
staff to do that.
Yes,
I was
That's
gonna
what
say,
we're down
As
to.
part of the staffing, we'd be looking for an industrial pretreatment coordinator, which could also oversee grease traps, making sure things are happening. So currently, there's a program for industrial pretreatment and grease traps that is not being implemented due to staffing.
Exactly.
So those are things we're working on. We are developing staff, the staff is growing, so.
You know, a lot of these things all come down to staffing. It's that simple. Once you have the staffing, then you can take and have discussions on it and what should be done and what should be done, and how much should be done. But at this point, we don't have the staffing,
So-
we can't do it, so,
You do have, the position is available?
yep.
The programs are available, the positions are available.
Okay.
I don't think they would be specifically labeled any particular way. It would be a multiple staff that are trained and able to do these things.
And could act as the inspector and do all pre-team, and take care of the fog program as well? Inspect the grease traps and things?
That's correct. And then along with that would come
Well,
jetting and
do
camera
we-
work.
When you say we don't have any, is it posted? Can we hire somebody?
So again, the specific position is not posted. What it comes down to is developing staff within our current framework without a specific position where, a highly skilled labor or foreman could be trained to go do the pretreatment inspection and grease trap inspections. It's not particularly complicated.
Yeah, because the bottom line is, this isn't a position. This is gonna be a duty of somebody,
Right.
when you have the staff to
that-
give them that duty.
But what I'm saying, Jimmy, is should we make it a position?
I wouldn't,
And possibly,
I think,
possibly work to make it the enforcement officer as well?
I think the enforcement of anything would have to come through the board. In other
Well,
words, we
but the-
identify it
But if,
by the information, the enforcement would come from letters directly from the board. I don't think in the current climate of things, having an enforcement officer for wastewater is appropriate. So it comes down to having the appropriate staff trained to identify the situation, identify things that are wrong, develop a line of evidence or whatever, and bring it to the board for enforcement.
Rich's list is growing longer.
Hey, that's what he's there for. And he just loves it.
Okay, there was some question as to some subdivisions that we've seen being developed, others that are being on public hearings for planning and the like. It is up to us as individuals to look at them and see if they qualify to coming before us as a board. And with the moratorium, there hasn't been anything in 2 years, I believe, and it's a little questionable when they look at all this construction and they say, how did they get with a moratorium? And they're all predated for the most part. We have one or two that are questionable, as we discussed prior to the meeting. One on Onset Ave, which is next to the elementary school, but that is in progress. As far as the planning board is concerned, it has not come back before them, and there may be some changes that they need to make it acceptable, but that's up to different entities within the town, as the planning board in particular, zoning, if they have to and the like. And eventually, if it goes through the building, they will make sure they get an application from the sewer department, and that will go through Scott, who present it to the board, who makes the final decision as to how or when or whatever, as far as connections on any subdivision or even individual
Is that the
additions.
240 Onset Ave?
240, yes.
I mean,
No,
didn't-
excuse me, not 240, no. I'm talking about the subdivision that's next door to the elementary school specifically.
Is it Minot Ave?
That's Minot Ave. I thought you said Onset Ave.
He did.
He did.
I did.
So that
It was
got me,
erroneous.
so
He was
Minot
talking
Ave.
about
Mine, I apologize. Thank you.
So that was going to be a Title V, where somewhere down the line, they would have to abandon that and connect when we had capability?
That would be
Is that my understanding?
on the periphery, yes. However, in the detail, in terms of what they propose, will be the actual governing factor. And I don't believe, as my conversation with the planning board, that that's even on their horizon. They saw them, I think, briefly, and haven't seen them since. So the owner or the developer is doing her own thing, whatever it is that they do. It's not before any board
No.
that I'm aware of.
You mean they've gone in and cleared all those trees and they have no authority to do anything yet?
They haven't applied for any specific authority. They have, I'm certain they have a permit to clear the area as they have,
Extremely hard to believe.
and all the necessary.
No, they didn't need it.
But whatever else they're going to do beyond what you see now is not our
That was the
concern.
one that was gone.
They took the 4 lots as individual lots, and therefore they didn't need approval. But if it had been one big area, they would have had to have approval from planning. But they cleared it as 4 individual lots. It didn't have to come before planning.
They spent a lot of money.
Yep.
Wow. And they weren't going to connect, right? They were going to go Title V.
That's because we have a moratorium. And Guy said to them, if you put in the Title V, you may have to abandon it you will abandon it after 5 years because you will be forced to connect to the sewer line. That's a lot of money to spend up there,
Indeed, it is.
especially since it's upland of wetlands. So I'm surprised if they can get a Board of Health to approve it, says it's all
Well,
flowing
did they?
down. No, they haven't done anything. I keep looking at the Board of Health agenda, and they're not there.
I can't believe they're spending all of that money clearing that land and they haven't done any
Just
of
to
the
take the
preliminary.
trees down, yep.
Sold the trees.
Wow, somebody's got some money to throw around.
Yeah. And as I said, when they get the application for a building permit and the like, it'll pass through over to Scott, who will take a look at it and then turn it over to us for final decision.
We had since we're there, we had a discussion about that property on Main Street.
That's on, which one are you talking about? The Ms. Gates?
No, the one up on top of the hill that wanted the
186 Main Street, was it?
386 Main Street.
Okay.
Oh, 186, I thought you said.
No, it was
No,
386 Main
386.
Street.
Going
in
across
which
from
we-
CVS.
Across from CVS.
Yeah.
It was confirmed, and Scott confirmed that they had 4 EDUs. And I went to the building inspector, and the plans for it was to stay 4
Yes.
units. So there's no 5th unit coming in even though, but there's no increase in flow.
Well, they got turned down on the 2 other ones that they wanted, other buildings they wanted to
The
put up
5
because they
con,
didn't,
yeah,
because
the
they didn't have
duplex,
access.
yeah, the 10 units they wanted to
Right.
put around it.
Why is it considered Main Street?
I don't,
Because it's an access from Church Street?
no, the access is from High Street.
Okay, High
But
Street.
that face, I don't know,
Front
that's
doors on
just the
Main
straight,
Street.
that's just the street
They want to
number.
use Main Street.
But I thought that was, the fly in the ointment is that they can't get enough access off of
The
High
right-of-way
Street.
They have a
is an
right of
issue.
way.
They have a right-of-way off of High
But
Street.
it's limited. And I read recently that the neighbors won't allow them to increase the access.
Yes. I don't know
Looks
why
like
it's
it's
Main Street.
about the
It's always
equivalent
been
of
Main Street.
a driveway, that's all I know.
Yes,
Coming
yeah,
in off of
basically,
High.
that's exactly what the easement is a driveway. And they're trying to put in multiple units. And they're not being allowed to do so.
So we'll just continue to watch it. They're trying to put in the 3 duplexes. We'll watch it.
But I still just don't understand why it's considered Main Street.
Go ask the
That go
building
back to when
inspectors.
all the houses were given their street number 17 something, so. Don't know why.
In other words, to get the mail, they gotta walk down the hill.
The mailman will have a hike. I don't even think there's access off of Main.
No, there isn't.
No, there isn't.
I don't think there is any
Oh, there's-
access.
There is not.
The heavy granite wall there.
And that's a hell of a hill.
No flood insurance, though.
Beyond my pay grade to say what criteria you use for your street address. Okay,
Okay, I put on the moratorium the potential resources and criteria for modification. As I mentioned to Scott earlier,
you skipped over G.
no, the application process,
I went to the building inspector office. If a request for construction comes in and they're on sewer and adding a bedroom, it goes to Scott. If the construction is coming along, sorry, and a sewer line is available, it goes to Scott. Construction's coming along, no sewer line, it goes to the Board of Health.
yes, but as far as the connection for the sewer, everything goes through Scott
Yes,
and then comes to the board.
yes. Just wanted to,
So it goes to the Board of Health and the Board of Health comes to us?
no. If there is no sewer available, it goes to the Board of Health to approve a Title V.
Okay.
See, all those homes on the 56 units off of County Road, between Squirrel Island and County Road, that development will be 56 units, all with their own septic system. We'll have nothing to do with it.
Well, we don't have sewer up there anyway, do we?
That's right. So it'll all be Board of Health, which is one of the big subdivisions that the planning board is looking at.
Okay, in mentioning the moratorium, Sandy had, a couple of meetings ago, mentioned in terms of collecting enough gallons that we could possibly do some exceptions or whatever. And I was referring to, talking with Scott, as far as Swift's Beach is concerned, if we repair the main line there and line the others, we may find ourselves having recovered some gallons, because now we've taken care of the I&I, which we know is significant down in that particular place. And by doing so, knowing the flow prior to the repairs and knowing what the flow will be for, let's say, a 6-month period after the repairs, that'll give us an idea of what we recover in that area. It's also indicative of possible recovery if we do I&I for the, the lining of other pipes around where we have some considerable problems. So that's the potential resources to be able to consider some exceptions possibly to the moratorium.
Do we have anybody that right now is asking for hookup?
Yes.
We have one, but
I know of
I'm going to talk to
Agawam.
unfinished business. Bring up Ms. Gates. Do you have anything else
Yeah,
that you're aware of?
the 2 duplexes off at the Housing Authority on Sandwich Road.
Have we seen anything?
No, I'm saying, I'm surprised. They talked to Guy, the engineer talked to Guy. I don't know what that conversation went to or where it went, but they were quite surprised that there was no accommodation for those 2 duplexes for that Agawam Housing Authority. I'm just trying, is there anything else out there that we just don't know about yet?
Probably. And I say that probably because
You're
there
not
are
aware
some
of
things out there we don't know about now.
Well, there's been requests for an additional bedroom that we had to reject.
Yeah, that 240.
Small things like that. A lot of the things that come through, you guys are talking about, what comes to my desk so far. Any construction that has a lateral already to it or provided for it, I see. So a lot of the construction that, what I'm looking for is change in use in approving. So if it's retail going to something else, or storage going to something else, it could change the actual flow. So the question always is, what was it originally? What was it allotted for originally? And that's the only questions I've been bringing up, because it allows for comments. Those are the comments I've been making.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe we were all tuned in to the nitrogen seminar. Unfortunately, Peter, you couldn't comment. Anyone wish to comment on that seminar?
It was a waste of time.
I thought the whole thing was bogus.
10 years, the 10-year-old data, I don't know. I think they were just justifying their jobs at DEP.
Or scaring the people off of, that are not sewered, thinking they would all have to come in with Title V's like the ones on the Cape, so they scared a lot of people.
Yeah, but they're not the ones that are going to have to enforce it.
No.
They're palming it all off on the towns,
I found that
which was
interesting.
pointed out very well by one of our selectmen.
You think he did a good job? I thought so too.
I thought he was excellent.
Did
I
he
thought
have more to add
one
at
other
the end? He
person.
was muted, but I could see him talking.
He was talking to me.
He was,
okay.
he was, the other comment was
Sounds better
from the
when
young
it's
lady that was the researcher. Her last name, I think, was Fox. And she pointed out that the data was 10 years old, that they did a Zoom meeting at 2 o'clock on a weekday, and you had to pre-register.
And the gentleman that was also spoke was very pointed about the dating on the data. It was 10 years old, at a minimum.
Well, that's it. It was 10 years old.
And the organization had no enforcement powers.
I thought it was foolish. I
And
really did.
And they're trying to drop the bad guy routine on us
Yeah.
without giving us any data on what's coming downstream to us
Or any relief.
that we're gonna have to take care of.
And I know they say it was a 10-year report in the making, but I don't know, were there any updates throughout the process over the last 10 years, or did they just come out with this report after 10
They had
years was up?
nothing to do, they were filling in time and justifying their existence, so they showed up.
This is their draft report. I have a printout of it, but I didn't print it out. I think I did it down the plan. For the daily load dated August 2023, and the other one I have is the nitrogen consensus dated 2010.
Oh, current. You got the current stuff.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I think I saw that one of the potential
What I want to
fixes
see
was
them come
dropping
up
the
with.
nitrogen up by 100% at the plant. That was,
I want to see them come up with the money, then we'll discuss it.
okay, the last one was brought up at our last meeting. We briefly made reference to it. So now we can discuss it because it's on the agenda. And that would be to change the timing of the meeting, not the dates, because the dates are in our charter and our bylaws that we meet the second and fourth Thursday of every month. But there is no reference to what time we should meet. Currently, we're 6:30 to 8:30 or before the ball game.
Before the ball game, whatever game it is,
what works for you, Scott?
before
4
the ball
o'clock
game.
would be great, but I'm here. I signed on to be here when you meet, so.
I already have a commitment for a meeting at 5:30, the second Thursday.
That's okay.
The only commitment you have currently, or is that a regular one?
That's a regular every month, the second Thursday at 4:30.
So then we'll,
You'll need
Okay.
I
a,
thought you said
Then no.
5:30.
5:30. So I can get out of there
So
from
we
there
can-
to come
we can
here and
lea-
be here at
We can
6.
leave here, we can start here at 4, and we'll end the meeting at 5:30, so you can run to your other meeting. How's that? Instead of 4 to 6.
Well,
You figure that
do
logic?
we have, I heard it, do we have the room? Do we have WCTV? I mean, you have to ask
Yes.
this,
The room isn't a problem.
what about the people that are watching us?
No, that's an issue. That's why I
I
brought it
mean,
up.
if we're
That's why they have
consistent.
DVDs, DVRs.
yeah, as long as it doesn't cut into Matlock time, I think they'll be okay.
Exactly.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy, yeah.
There are priorities.
Oh, wait a minute. That means we won't get to see the 5?
You'll have to tape it.
Oh, no.
I haven't asked WCTV. But then again, we can have a DVD and sell them.
Means I'm going to miss 2.5 men.
Oh, no, well, you have to DVR it.
So,
Got anything important you want to bring up, Scott?
Paula will get one.
it's devolved.
How could I beat this?
Yeah, no, this is
I mean, the only thing.
comedy
the
gold.
only- the only reason.
Okay,
for
Sandy
changing
has a
it-
problem. She has definite conflict. And yes, there's a concern, I think, of our audience
Okay,
in
no.
general,
Why did you pick 4 to 6?
arbitrary.
Because I don't want to go out after dark.
Excuse me?
I was trying to get away from going out after dark.
I mean, why not 3 to 5?
Okay?
Okay, make a motion.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
I just,
Why
No,
you
we're
picked
doing-
that hour?
it's,
Keep
well,
in-
the purpose of discussion, you had to have something to start with.
I guess not on the record. If it's after, I guess, or if it's anywhere.
Speaking to the mic, please.
Anywhere before 3, I will not be able to attend. So somebody else will have to,
Okay, so if it's 3 o'clock on, you can attend?
We can write you a note.
if it's
What's
4
your time?
o'clock on, I can attend.
4 o'clock, okay.
I would think 5 because I usually have to be here an hour early, but
Well, will the professor take a note?
We're looking at the Narrows at 9,
maybe not every Thursday.
9 to noon.
Is
But
it,
the
be-
Narrows at 9.
is there because none of us work? Is that why we're changing? I don't know about Bob. You
Well,
must
because,
have,
no, I don't work, but Scott commutes from the Cape, so. it'll
Yes,
be
I mean-
easier for-
the idea of making this a more during his normal work hours would be easier for Scott. But keep in mind that somewhere down the line, one of us will be gone and may be replaced by somebody who has a job and can't do it earlier than,
We'll worry about it
6:30.
then, we can always change it back.
but that's not fair to the public either.
Then do you
And
suggest we have a
that's
public
our
comment?
audience, the public, which is why we're here. We're elected
Exactly.
officials of those people.
Well, That's what I'm saying. Should we open this to the public and get comment before we move?
I think we should.
Then I make a motion to that effect.
Second,
Motion to table.
second.
Motion is made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Then how are you going to get comment?
You can email the comments to us at sewercommissioners@wareham.mass.us.
Put it on the agenda for the next meeting and put it under public comments.
Or call the office and leave a message for the sewer commissioners.
Put it in the paper.
And you'll find the correct number online.
There's 3 means of notification. Use all 3 of them.
So we're looking at 6:30 to 8:30 now, 6 to 8, or 4 to 6, which means I can't do
4 to 6.
either of those.
Okay, then we won't. It's, from my point of view as chairman, if all members are not able to make these meetings conveniently, then the meeting has to be changed to accommodate all members. Next on our agenda, superintendent's report. Da-da-da-da-da.
Well, we're continuing to make progress, repairing the plant and trying to get it to maintain compliance. The crew's still working very well together, and I'm happy to say we're continuing to make progress, and we did sneak our Vector truck into Tremont. Neil, don't tell anyone, because I didn't. And
What building did it go in?
there's a building there.
Big metal one.
I
Undisclosed.
thought the middle one was already rented out.
Might be, but our truck is there.
Okay, because that's where the new, that was that
Good one.
marijuana
Scott, keep
site
that
was
up.
going to go there.
Again?
Yeah, don't worry about
Another one?
ancillary comments like that.
That was a long time ago.
So, yeah, the grease dealer people are coming on Monday, and they're gonna work through the week to empty the building we have on site that we think can house it permanently, so that we can get out of there. But with the cold weather, we were getting kind of nervous. We had a couple 28-degree nights.
Yeah.
And that's a very expensive piece of equipment to allow to freeze. So we,
Put fans on it.
it would go the other way, wouldn't it?
No, if you move the air, it doesn't freeze as much as if you have still air. Never mind,
They taking their trailer with them also?
What's that? Oh, yes, they're gonna empty that out and service it, and
I mean, that would be good sludge storage if you needed
no,
it.
we're not gonna do sludge storage. We will be removing sludge and properly handling the system, not storing things for the heck of it. So, we're still working on removing a lot of the junk. Tomorrow, I'll be calling the tow company to get rid of 2 more vehicles that are going to auction at the barn. And again, we're continuing to try to make the repairs to make the system work that much better and maybe allow for the moratorium to be selectively lifted.
so the 2 vehicles will be taken up to municipal maintenance and stored there?
Correct.
Just as long as they're out of your hair.
They have not moved since the time that I've been at the plant.
So they don't run.
Couldn't tell you, but they don't move. They haven't moved. They've become part of the ground.
You can use them as planters.
Yeah, I don't even know if they're any good for that. But we do have one of the facility's blowers actually operating properly.
Yay.
We still do have the rental on site. And we're still working towards an alternative to renting in perpetuity, because we need a backup. I can't, in good conscience, remove the rental right now with one blower running. If something happens to that one, our whole process is gone, so
So you started the process to buy one?
we're working on it.
Now, you have 3 blowers in that building, don't you?
Yes.
Only one is working, the other 2, are they repairable, you think?
We put the belts on number 2, and there appears to be a flat spot in the bearings in the blower. The motor's working fine, and as all 6 belts were turning, it would catch, and then the motor would turn inside the belts, and it would start smoking, and it was very loud and unpleasant. But we were able to figure out from that what the issue was. The most local repair facility for the blower head that needs to be rebuilt is in Canada. So it's a new one to purchase would be 16 weeks out and is around $32,000 for just the blower head. The repair, if possible, is also likely 16 weeks out. Again, it has to be transported to Canada, repaired, if repairable. It will cost around $12,000 to $15,000,
What's the cost
plus
of the new
shipping.
one?
How many of these blowers do you have?
There's 3. There's supposed to be 3. Right now, we have 1.
Okay. So you're buying one new one and attempting to repair the other one? So I guess what I'm getting at is, are you going to have one on hand?
Yes,
A
we're gonna
backup on hand?
we're gonna retain the rental that we have on site and have had on site since June.
Can you buy the rental?
That is the option we are working on, but won't be the rental, it will be like the rental. That rental is actually meant to be transported. It has its own frame around it to be picked up by a crane and put on a flatbed. So they won't sell us that one, because I thought that would
They
be
want it
the
back.
easiest option. Yes.
So you just get another used rental?
No, I'll get a brand-new rental.
Okay.
I think a new one went for about a big price, a little over 100 grand
Correct.
each.
Correct. But we need to procure it properly.
Indeed, of course.
These blowers, Scott, I mean, they're just blowing air up into the area, the clarifiers through the tube?
Yes, but at a very high pressure and a very high volume.
How much?
It's a very high pressure, or sorry, it's not the highest of pressure, it's around 11 PSI, but at a very high volume.
So it's not like something you could have a compressor as a backup?
Nope.
Compressor would run constantly?
It would blow a little bitty bubble through one little section of a football field, is what it would look like at our plant if we tried to do that. There are, oddly enough, 3 other blowers on site that have never been used. They would otherwise aerate the EQ basins, 2 of them. However, they operate at too high a pressure for where the other ones would go in too low a volume. So they put out a higher pressure at a lower volume, so we'd run into a similar problem. We could potentially damage all of the headers at the basin of the aeration basin, and at the same time not provide enough volume
we
to
have-
actually do the work.
We have some that can't be used.
For that
Why
particular
do we ever
purpose.
get some that can't be used?
For
I
that
don't
pur-
know, that's.
For that purpose.
Life's mysteries.
So they can be sold off then, right?
What's that?
They could be sold off?
Yes, I suppose they
Yeah.
could.
Mooring.
They would be good at that.
Okay. Anything else, Scott?
I don't believe so, not at this time.
Good. Next issue is unfinished business. We have a contract which we originally had signed. It's for OSD LLC, and we signed for $105,000. Signed it on November 9th, 2023. Unfortunately, the quantity of $105,000 was erroneous. It should have been $150,000. So that's why it's falling under unfinished business. So I'd like to ask for a motion,
I'll make a motion to accept the
new
Correct
amount
amount.
of $150,000 on
150,000.
OSD. Do I have a second?
Second it?
Motion's made and second. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It is not, because it is not listed as a specific thing, we can vote on it tonight, but we have to ratify the vote on the agenda at the next meeting. So you have to put this on the agenda at the next meeting to ratify the vote we're going to do tonight. Do you understand what I mean?
What I don't understand is why you have to do that. If unfinished business is on the agenda, and this is brought up as unfinished business, it is therefore on the agenda.
Because it's a vote, it has to be recorded on the agenda. Unfinished business could be very vague to talk about, but it is a specific vote and must be.
I think that's exactly why they put it there.
No. Unfinished business is just things like.
Where,
you might-
where are you getting this definition?
Okay. Somebody help me here. This is what we've always done.
It,
Open meeting laws, it has to be on the agenda. It has to
it
be
is on the
ratified.
agenda
No,
under
it's-
unfinished
Peter,
business.
it's not. It has to be specifically mentioned as a vote.
It says that in the open meeting law?
Yes,
I don't think so.
right? It's there. It has to be ratified at the next meeting with that, absolutely that vote on the agenda.
Okay, on the motion of 150,000,
We
all those,
we voted 500 for it.
we did? I'm sorry.
Oh,
did
I did, no, we didn't
No, we didn't
vote,
vote.
We didn't
It
vote,
was just
no.
seconded.
because I questioned it.
Yes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote? We'll come back to you. Okay, also in unfinished business, we have a Ms. Cates, Sharon Cates, who has been requesting an opinion as to whether or not she can add to her residence or place of business at 240 Onset Ave. She has the, currently it's the old satellite police station, which she has converted to a pet grooming, and there's also living quarters behind it, I believe. And she is requesting to add a kitchen and bedroom. Now, there's nothing in writing in terms of this, other than she has called, and I spoke with her at length.
We did get an email from her
Yeah, it really,
2 weeks ago.
I'm not sure we could do anything. I looked it up in the assessing, and she is telling me she has 2 baths, and the assessor's evaluation is she has only 1 bath, which means, she says there were 2, are 2, 1 was not functional, but has since been repaired. However, there's been other issues. Zoning has advised her if she were to change from a business to a residence and do an in-home business. But as far as we're concerned, there is no request before us, and there's been some questions. So there's no, I'm giving you an informal update of the conversation that I've had with her. I talked with Scott regarding it, because he's looked into it also, and it's going to be probably increasing our flow. Although she has an active business there now, I know very little about it. It sounds like it's not something we could approve. I would suggest to advise her to go back to building and also zoning and get some more information as to what would be in her best interest to go forward and possibly correct what she has. If if she has 2 bathrooms there, but it doesn't state so, then that would be an increase of additional flow, just on the face of it, from my point of view.
And increased assessment of the value of the property.
Any comments?
Yes.
Go ahead, Peter.
when the building was a substation, how many EDUs was it listed as?
It was a municipal building. No, excuse me, no, we were renting it. I have no idea.
Well, my point is,
It was owned by the water department to begin with.
originally, yes, it was the Onset Water Department, and then the police took it over as a substation. I know, I've been in the building, and it does have one functioning bathroom and one area that was used, could be used as a bathroom. But the question I'm asking is, she's now turned it into a business, and how do we charge her as far as an EDU? Don't we charge different for a pet salon than we would for a residence?
I'm not sure, everything is
And now
so
this would be
informal.
a combination?
It would, zoning has suggested that one of those items, possibly in changing the zoning from business or commercial to residential, and she could have an in-home business. But that has to do with what she's doing there. It doesn't have anything to do with how we view the parcel. There's a number of bedrooms she has. I'm not sure she has a bedroom there now.
But that would affect the EDUs that she's charged.
If she rezones to a residence, she becomes a residence, which is
Well,
based on the bedrooms.
but
That she
she-
has one, she has one EDU.
But her EDU rating should have changed simply by the fact that it's not a substation any longer. It is now a pet salon. So, I mean, that's what, 2 EDUs, isn't it?
I haven't looked at that far.
I have no idea.
When,
I can't remember.
I don't have the list of the EDUs in front of me, but it's not the same as a residence.
No, it
because
would not
it's-
be because it's
Right,
commercial.
so if in fact she is allowed to put a residence in there, she'd be paying whatever the EDU is for the pet salon, plus an EDU for a residence?
I have not been involved in that before, so I can't give you an answer.
Well,
In
none
terms
of
of
us
the
have,
EDUs, it's because,
but that's my question. Is that the way we would look at it? I'm not saying it is, I'm asking.
no, I have no idea.
I would be more concerned about the increase in flow.
Oh, no,
Okay.
that also comes into it.
Yeah, right from the
But
get-go.
if in fact she does change it, it sounds like she wants to get ahead of the problem so that she doesn't spend money needlessly. And I think that's
Yeah.
a
Well,
good way to look at it, but,
From what I understand, her option is if she can't hook up, she's gonna probably sell the place and move.
Well, she's currently hooked up, she just doesn't,
If she
if she
can't-
doesn't get the expansion she wants, she will move.
And,
The whole issue, she wants to make kitchen and bedroom.
no, that's increased flow. I mean.
Yeah.
But my point I'm trying to bring out is, it's increased flow just in the fact that the businesses changed types. Where it was the substation,
Yes.
it had a low flow. As a pet salon, she's increased the flow there alone.
As a commercial, she's increased the flow from our viewpoint and paper. If she converts it to a residence, she reduces the flow on paper.
No, she's increasing it even more,
Well, if a
because she's
commercial
going
is
to
too-
have both there.
No, if she changes it to a residence. I'm just taking, never mind the business. If she switched to a residence,
Yep,
no business, it's just a residence, she drops down to one EDU.
correct.
As she currently is, and we're only speculating now, as she currently is, it's 2 EDUs, because she's commercial.
But if she converts it to, if she changes the zoning and she converts to residence, and then puts a building in the residence, puts the business
business.
in the residence,
If
she's back up again.
If I were to have a home, I'm paying an EDU, now I decide to have a business in their basement.
A hair salon. A hair salon in the
But you-
basement.
Yes, but you're asking for something with licensing too. Yeah, and
Well,
she
I'm
has
sure there
pet
needs a
salon
license with the dog.
licensing. So,
But a hair salon pays an EDU per chair.
correct.
Yep.
I'm just thinking in the
Well,
context
I-
of saying
I
I have a
believe-
business.
I
but
believe-
I'm not necessarily registered as such. It's,
I guess we need,
bottom line, I would say it increases flow, and by by virtue of doing that, no, she cannot, from our point of view.
I agree with that, but I think she's already increased flow from what it was when she bought it.
My understanding is she's already had flow, not at this particular location, but she's already been a contributor of flow from
Yeah, she's-
previous location she was in.
She's been elsewhere in the
So,
community.
She was in Onset before?
oh yeah, across the street, basically, or
Yeah,
just
she-
up the street.
I think she's been doing this for some 15 years.
Next to the laundromat,
The market?
the laundromat, the other side of the street, across the street.
Oh, okay, up by the tattoo parlor.
Yeah.
no,
Opposite them,
by the
by the laundromat,
laundromat next to the
which is just.
barber
which is-
shop, by the barber
Which is
shop.
just basically up the street from this building that she's going into, that's all. She's changing locations for what she was doing already.
So whatever happened to the site she left?
I have the clue.
Because it continues to have flow.
I don't,
So it wasn't as if she gave it up there and
I
moved
don't
someplace
rent
else
this
to.
space,
I
so.
think the place used to be a coffee shop.
That's
at
an
one
argument
Yeah, it
she
was
could
a coffee
use,
shop.
yes.
time.
Was a coffee shop before.
Yeah.
little
And
bakery
There's a
coffee
barber
shop.
shop next door to it.
Yeah, it was cup
I'm
two.
just trying to remember,
was
it's
cup
not.
two.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't
Cup
Cup Two.
one?
Barber shop, the
No.
pottery shop.
No,
Oh, I know, yeah. Didn't
Yeah,
last,
the
didn't
barber
last
shop,
long
the
as a
pottery
bakery
shop.
coffee
that
shop.
lasted about an hour and a half.
Had some pretty good muffins too.
But the answer to her question is no, she's increasing flow.
But as you point out, she's no longer operational at one location, but she moves to another point within the community, to a different location. Does that change anything?
As long as the old location's water is shut off.
It in itself is just having to be put to a new use, depending upon the,
Then there's no saving in water.
yeah. Has to balance out. Okay. I'll be in touch with her. In addition, we have, let's see, Danny Warren at, in this room, I believe it is,
Yes,
this Saturday,
yep,
1 AM,
Here?
1 PM.
1 PM, excuse me, right?
Here?
Right here,
Yeah.
yes, room 320.
Are we required to be here, or?
No,
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 What is it?
no, it's Danny Warren's.
it's just an informational meeting that he wants to
Just
put
an
on for
update.
the residents
Yeah.
of Swiss Beach.
If we happen to be here
So-
for,
Up against the 2 o'clock parade.
I thought of
Main
that, yeah.
Street is going to be, you're going to be closed. The parade starts here on Viking Drive and goes down Main Street.
Well, we're canceling the parade, that's all there is to it.
Where's it go?
Well, I
Christmas
know,
parade, down Main
Christmas
Street.
parade, so
down
I
to
know,
Bessie Park.
Excuse me?
I think it goes down to Bessie.
I think so. We're starting here, we're lining up on Viking Drive at 1 o'clock. The
Okay,
parade kicks off at 2.
And where are you going?
I don't know, I'll just follow the parade. More than likely Bessie Park,
Yeah.
because that's
I
where they
don't
tend to have cocoa and stuff like
And
that.
what time is that?
It starts at 2. So Main Street and everything else will be closed for the parade.
we're talking
So
about
it'd be
Swiss Beach
seriously
anyhow, so they're
difficult
coming
for
from
them
that
to
way.
get here.
Swiss
Or
Beach-
go home from
Can't
here.
get the hall
Swiss
down.
Beach is the other way.
Now it's closed up.
The Swiss Beach
Why?
doesn't go down
No
Main
win-
Street.
The
It's not
water's off.
winterized?
No,
They
it's not
can't-
winterized.
Yeah,
Swiss
but I
Beach
mean-
doesn't go down Main Street.
Do you think it would be that
They
uncomfortable?
have to get out here to get down.
With that
It
many
wouldn't,
They
people?
don't have to
I
go down
don't
Main
think they
Street.
have the.
They live in
Marion
Beach.
Road will be
now,
closed from
and
Viking
it's a
Drive
mess,
as
so.
it comes down.
So you go and take a left instead of taking a right.
Yeah,
the
but
front end.
they're coming up Swift Beach Road and wanting to get here.
Yeah,
They can't.
But 1 o'clock, the thing doesn't start till 2, so they can get here.
They just can't leave here until the parade finishes.
The parade,
And
by the time this is over, the parade is gonna be down at,
roads closed before 2, to my knowledge.
Yes, they'll be closing the road before the 2, yeah.
Well, Danny's got stories. He'll be able to entertain until the parade moves down the road. I don't think many people will be in attendance
I would like to be.
anyway.
No.
So
Look, he's been up and down that street, I'm certain, and walking around, you've seen him many times.
I've seen him, yeah.
On
oh, yeah.
site, yeah.
Yeah,
And he'll stop and talk to anybody.
he will. He will. But I don't know, we'll see, it remains to be seen. A lot of people that would be involved
Somebody at the library.
seasonal. So a few people have approached me about making, if not this meeting coming up on Saturday, but at least a future meeting, make it a Zoom meeting so that they could participate in it, which I think is a good idea.
I was surprised at the last turnout at the community center we had, it was a couple weeks ago, 1 month ago,
Yeah,
the number we had at that meeting. And that was timeframe when most of them had left too.
mm-hmm.
So that even the active, the locals are very interested also.
Okay?
Okay, anything else? Next meeting time is the 14th. And I anticipate, because the next area would be Christmas, we may not have a meeting at all. We'll skip that one and start in January. Anyone object to that? If there's something that has come up that requires our attention, I will certainly,
Well, then, it's on the 28th, so it's that week between Christmas and New Year's. So it's not Christmas.
What's on the
no, I just think of the week of itself, people travel, et cetera. When do you leave? In New Mexico.
Huh?
You go to New Mexico,
When's the
don't you?
next meeting?
14th.
Nevada, where you can dry out.
Yeah.
When do you go?
Later,
Later?
tell you.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Record 7:45. Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.